one thing that the ATF is authorized to do is disband.
You know, the right to bear arms is because that's the last form of defense against tyranny, not to hunt. It's to protect yourself from the police.
Not only no gun control, but, we're going to destroy the whole concept because the internet's going to serve guns.
And we want our rights, and by God, we're going to keep them, come hell or high water.
The eMilitia Podcast, Episode 75, The War on Guns, Useless Cops, and Hidden Agendas. Enjoy, fuckers.
She's like, I'm going to bring this fucking cut up watermelon. And I'm like, but you're going to be like all covered in the water and then eating the fucking watermelon? And she's like, why do you think you get sick, bitch? And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll eat some watermelon.
Did you get sick?
No.
That's what's up.
Oh, well, you just built it.
No, when I say she never gets sick, I mean she never, like, her immune system's built up, like...
Because she swims in the toxic rivers.
The toxic rivers are over Ohio.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
In the toxic lakes and whatever else.
Oh, fuck. By the way, I hit record because I liked that conversation.
She also eats way out of date food.
Well, you have found a survival partner, my friend.
Dude, yeah, when it comes to out of date food, she's like, just eat it. It's fine.
That's nice. She's hardy.
She's
like, mounts a week old, finish it. We got a half a gallon.
Yeah, quit being a pussy, Rezzy.
Yeah.
I appreciate her.
Yeah, me too. I like that. Hello, and welcome to the eMilitia Podcast. We do these sometimes. I'm BR, and joining me today are my co-hosts, Resurrecting Freedom, aka Rezzy, Guns and Guillotines, aka Guns, and Miss Buckles, aka Buckles, aka Desert Babushka. Yeah. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Fair.
Yeah, chugging along.
I think that's everyone at this point.
Tired, broke, feeling kind of sick, got a headache.
This is the slowest.
Sound like a sick rap you're about to start right there.
Yeah. Keep on going.
There's something on your shirt.
That's all I've written.
And maybe it'll go viral on TikTok.
Yeah, that's why no one will remember your name. But no, this is the slowest collapse ever. And currently we're going through the MK Ultra signal has been activated phase, which is really weird.
Explain.
Well, how many shootings have you seen recently? Like
a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot.
In like 2 or 3 weeks.
Like after like 2 years of relative peace, aside from like.
Well, is it though? Is it? Or did we just not? They weren't making a big deal about it.
Well, no, that's a good point. I think every single event now is being broadcast like the country is at war.
They want.
Well, they didn't need them yet. Now they need them, so they're gonna prop them up.
It's weird. It's so fucking weird. And also, what you guys were talking about just before we went on air of course, what everyone's seen now. When we shared, I'm gonna fuck up the pronunciation. Is it the Uvalde school?
Uvalde, I think.
I think he's closer.
All right, we're gonna get like a. We'll get a squad average on the pronunciation and just kind of meander through it. But Uvalde, the shooting, obviously that's the big one that is the headline grabber at the minute. But the weird fucking thing about that, of course, was it's this really, really high profile school shooting, absolutely fucking horrific. Some lunatic goes in. All the measures in place completely fail because government bureaucracy and, like the fucking... We'll get into that. I don't need to bog it down. Yeah, horrible school shooting, but the cops are on scene...
For 75 minutes.
75 fucking minutes.
According to CBS.
Yeah, and well, now I believe them because it's anti-cop, but no, I mean, it's pretty fucking believable because that was... kind of what they would do.
Dude, the day of, I was making memes, obviously, like joking.
As one does.
As one does. And I had people, like, right away, people were telling me that the cops that were holding the parents back and pepper spraying them were federal agents.
Whoa.
Marshals, federal marshals.
They were?
I don't know. I don't have confirmation.
Okay.
But like I said, I can't tell.
I was gonna say,
I'm not that guy who knows that much about all the federal. But I had people, 2 or 3 people, the very first day tell me, they're like, "Those are federal marshals.
well,
Those aren't actual cops." And I'm like, "Well, that's weird."
well, we definitely will jump down that rabbit hole and all the other rabbit holes. But I mean, just from a base level, before we even get crazy, what we have seen on ordinary news networks is that everyone is reporting, yeah, the cops kind of sucked balls. They reacted in like a pre-Columbine way, where, from what I know of American policing and kind of procedure with school shootings, was prior to Columbine, like nationally, there wasn't really like a
There was nothing.
yeah they
Nothing.
the process for like things like this is like start a perimeter, like build a perimeter and like wait out the fucking shooter instead of breaching and going in and taking care of the threat and trying to save as many lives as possible.
Exactly. But post Columbine,
not like that changed, but
but no, post Columbine, the national way to react was always supposed to be, if you're a cop and you're on scene, you go in.
yeah.
That was like, this was like 98, 99. They came up with this. Like, okay, like if we really want to save kids,
Which you think everyone
would go in.
would. Yeah, I can't understand a world where you just know, we saw the picture going around of their local SWAT team standing around in like multicam black with all of their guns and shit, trying to look hard and stuff. Typical, like, people say you're LARPing when you go to the range in full kit and do all of that, but these motherfuckers in multicam black in the desert are LARPing hard as fuck, because the second they've done, I believe, school shooter drills at this school pretty recently as well.
That's another thing. If that was like back in 98, 99, 2000, they came up with that. You just go in, and they just had drills throughout that school district and that sheriff's office or local office, then what's going on?
Well, yeah, all of that is weird as fuck. And then it would be one thing if, they were actively breaching or something and parents were being like wild, trying to run into the building while they're actively sweeping it and they don't want like loose, adults running around in the school while they're looking for a shooter. But the motherfuckers were like taking a water break and like, kind of camping out for 75 minutes. And during that time, they had enough guys on scene that they could hold down and restrain parents.
Let's just say what is being reported is they're taking water breaks, because I seen the pictures of cops standing around taking water breaks, but they're cut in a way that you can't really tell if they're actually in front of the school or not, or that was the situation where the picture was being taken.
Yeah, well,
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, regardless, it took 75 minutes from start to end for someone to go in there and pop the shooter. And was it the Border Patrol? Like, I don't. This once again, we have a really massive national event, and there's such a fucking shit line of what actually happened. I have no fucking clue who shot the guy. I don't know if it was the Border Patrol agent. I don't know if it was the team that actually breached. Like, what the fuck?
And that should tell you about the whole thing. If we're this far along and no one has come with the completion, like, this is how it happened, well, they're still fabricating it.
Yeah.
No, they're taking it so they can work the conclusion out to their benefit.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's fluid, so they're going to wait and see how the populace reacts, see how, what everybody's willing to believe and what the narrative is, and then change it as we go along and use what they want to.
Yeah, the optimum narrative.
Wow, how exciting.
I know we're in fluid history now, gang. It's like it's whatever the fuck is convenient.
Well, they have like multiple things planned at once, and they see what pans out and what doesn't. And this is one that worked and is still working in a way.
Yeah, it's still working.
Well, it works in several ways. It's not just well, this is our agenda. No, there's several agendas. They do a thing expecting a certain amount of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes out, they delay information until they get that certain amount. It doesn't matter what the agendas are. They got to get 3 of the 50 they have on the list done. Even if they suspend information, like you said, it's weird as fuck that we still don't really know how it ended.
Yeah, and there's so many factors to this.
Well, sometimes that alone feels purposeful, because then it's like
No,
you
seriously.
get so overwhelmed trying to figure out what's the truth, what's not, that you're almost like, well, fuck it, and I don't care.
Yeah,
I'll get into it, and I don't care anymore. On to the next. What's up with
I
Johnny
hear a
Depp?
lot of yeah. Let's pay attention to Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That's much more important. No, like the whole low trust society thing that I hear people throw around more and more, and like low trust, low information. You're just kind of scrambling to do your life, and then these horrific like incidents happen, or like these really impactful things. Like not saying the shooting is necessarily impactful yet to everyone's daily life, but more just, you know, the inflation and shit going on. You're scrambling, and then these awful things go on, and I you know, no good tragedy goes to waste. Of course, now we have once again the war on guns being proposed in everything but name. And it's like, oh, how convenient. Everyone fucking despises you right now. All of a sudden, there's like, you know, shootings reported everywhere. And oh, well, now it's the common sense thing to disarm the peasant.
Yeah, and they
while,
can
while they're
finally,
all poor and hungry.
finally
Oh,
look useful.
yeah.
Yep.
Fuck
Well, because
me.
people in survival mode, we ain't got time for existential crises when, you know,
No.
nobody cares what the powers that be are doing when they're literally just trying to keep the roof over their head. So people will
I
just.
haven't looked into it, but I heard the Supreme Court just ruled that an innocent plea doesn't necessarily give you the right to, not the right, how they phrase it. Well, something like that. Like to like just stop you from the punishment that the state has already determined you get.
You're saying that evidence of innocence isn't enough to overturn the verdict?
Yeah, and they're fine with that. Like
It was like a 6-3 vote.
Just because you have evidence that you're innocent doesn't mean you don't have to serve your sentence.
All right.
Even if it's to death.
I've just seen this. I'm trying to find what you're on about because I haven't heard any of this. The Supreme Court just said that evidence of innocence is not enough.
Yeah. And a 6-3 vote.
Yes. When you're sitting there and you're like, but isn't that the whole point of this? The system is to, because I thought, you know, you're supposedly it's innocent until proven guilty.
Evidence still means like truth, right? Like if you're bringing truth to the situation, they're like, well, we don't care about that. That's not enough.
Well,
what is?
That goes right back to the history is fluid thing, you know? Like, what the fuck?
Well, that's when you have the people that make those decisions, like that's the county attorneys and stuff that create the charges to do that kind of stuff, that need the evidence that, you know, because county attorneys are the one that drive the court system. They're the ones who want the evidence to prosecute you for the charges. And so, you know, I've had county attorneys flat out tell me that who wins is who tells the best story.
No,
it has nothing to do with evidence. We have had offenders confess, like full on, like just we have it in text message, all that kind of stuff. But you know, the jurors are idiots, or there's just a decent plea deal, or he paid for a better lawyer. You know, there's all kinds of things, and that can work in your favor, Obs, but sometimes not.
Word to the wise.
Most times not. Well, that's the thing is, now having worked so closely alongside the criminal justice system, I have figured out the trifecta of evil, and it's laziness, nepotism, and ego. So those three things are what, it's not even people like overtly wanting to be like, fuck these peasants. Like, it's not even malicious. It's literally just lazy bureaucracy and this weird like hall monitor power trip that people have had since elementary school, that they can like put their thumb over people and rule their lives.
Yeesh.
Well said.
Well said, indeed.
Reach on, sister.
Yeah, no, seriously. Christ. Yeah, guys. It's
Sorry.
democracy, the god that failed indeed.
I almost wish that it was more like, you know, you could be like, they just hate us and they want to. No, sometimes it's literally like your neighbor's just lazy and wants to clock out at 5 o'clock so they can go have a margarita, and they're not going to file your court paperwork to keep you safe to do the thing, because it can literally be as benign as that. Like, I've had detectives just upset that they got woken up at 3 a.m. So they didn't do a good job because they were annoyed that they had to be woken up. And so the littlest things, or like people who fuck up. Like, we had 2 officers. The one was their brothers, full-blown domestic violence abuser, used his police status all the time, and his brother helped cover it up. So it was like that nepotism, where people get put in places where they can help you, whether it's family, friends, whatever. And so people aren't held accountable, and they're all forms of cancer in the system that people think works for them. And on the county attorney note, since I'm on a little rampage, those charges, like... So on that flip side, that you can be charged and sentenced and forced to serve that entire sentence regardless of what evidence you had and things like that. On that flip side, I've had multiple cases where charges weren't filed on total slam dunk, like tied up in a bow cases because of stupid shit, where like the county attorney basically said like, well, I don't feel like I can defend this, so it's not worth trying. And you're like, well, I had a county attorney tell me that they had a moral obligation to the taxpayers to not try cases they weren't confident they could win because they would be wasting taxpayer money. And I was like, but what about the taxpayers who are your victims, who would rather you try to do it, because that's why you fucking exist and your job is here, and lose than you not at all? Like, give them a plea deal. Half the time people would take a plea deal. We all know that. I advocate for people not taking plea deals, but people
Monica Brett says no one should ever take a plea deal.
But most of these offenders are scared and they will
court.
take it. Agreed, even for your traffic ticket. But when I've got pedophiles here, I'm like, no, he should take a plea because he's not going to see anything else. So it like works sometimes, but then obviously there's the balance, and so it doesn't work. So there are victims who will never see justice in the system, and it starts with the officer showing up on scene all the way through the judge. And that was one of those realizations I had sitting there with a victim.
And so what you're saying is there's several points in the system that something could just fail completely.
Every point. Every single point.
Well, every point has the potential. Mm-hmm. Let's talk. In the best thing, the cop does the right job, the fucking prosecutor does the right job, the judge fails.
Yeah. That could just be a notification that he was being released. That happens all the time. I had the jail call a victim that, like, hey, he's being released. And she's like, I know, he's in my kitchen. He's been here for 6 hours.
Fuck me.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, if he had killed her, like, we were all in trouble, buddy. So even stuff like that, like, it just... And again, that speaking of survival mode, victims are in survival mode. They've just been through a traumatic event. They don't have time to fight the system. They don't care what their rights are. They're literally just trying to get through the day and not have nightmares and drink enough water.
Being an adult is hard, man.
Yeah.
And being a traumatized victim of the state or otherwise.
The system is so defeating. God. And 9 times out of 10, that's my conversations with my clients. And we work around the system. We keep them safe in different ways. And one of the saddest things for me is, like, you see that they're usually older people.
The sad part is you have to work around the system to keep people safe.
Yeah, 100%, because it will put them in a situation where they're more unsafe. And the saddest part for me is when I have these older people who find themselves, because we've had a rash of like adult kids, taking advantage of their elderly parents, and like financially and then physically, because there's, usually substance abuse and stuff. And so we have these adults who've never been a victim their entire life, have never needed the system in any way, shape, or form. They just thought every cop did a good job. Like, your county attorney was always there to help you get, justice and get the bad guy. And then they step foot in the system and realize that nobody gives a shit, literally, about anything. And they're like crushed by it.
They raise their kids like that, and their kids are the ones robbing and beating them.
Oh yeah, there's something about elderly.
It's horrible. Don't get me wrong. I find no joy in that whatsoever. Like, that's a horrible, horrible thing.
No, there's a reason
What?
why your adult male son is living at home with you in his 50s and he beats you up because you won't give him your credit card to go buy beer. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
dropped the ball a few years ago, Mom. The cops
Like,
aren't
he
going to
didn't
help.
learn that at college.
Oh, and also those women tend to be the ones that when I call them and help them and stuff, she's like, "That's not what I wanted. He can come home." Like, okay, okay, June, you enjoy that.
Like, yeah,
All
good
right,
luck.
yeah, go right back to it. You haven't learned your lesson yet.
Yes,
Oh,
but
Christ.
there's these
Well-
like super hardcore statist bootlickers that grew up with it, had no idea, all American dream, and then they're like, "Holy shit!" and they're super jaded. And when I see them leave, I'm always like, "Oh, that was a rough pill. Like, sorry for that
Oh,
black
no.
pill, but enjoy."
This leads perfectly into the whole situation around the Uvalde. I'm probably fucking up the pronunciation, so sorry to the Texans and the Mexicans, but no, like the shooter, the first person he shot was his fucking grandmother who he was living with, right?
Yeah.
Literally this A-type, personality that you're on about, where they're just like, grandma's just a fucking piggy bank to be smashed when I get bored of, like,
Correct.
when I just fucking snap. Like, Jesus Christ. Do you think that's just like, people, of course, the scapegoat, the search for the scapegoat is always the first thing everyone rushes to in a tragedy. It's like, well, is it a inanimate object that has a capacity to cause death? No, because someone had to pick that fucking thing up. Is it? I've seen Republicans, like, there was a thing on Fox saying like pot is increasing violence. It's like, dude, pot is the only reason. I'm gonna have to bleep this. I haven't fucking. Pot is the only reason I haven't yet.
Sure. I've said that before. That's why I haven't, people are alive today because I smoke marijuana.
It has brought me down to a much better level and helped me analyze what's good in life and what's important and turn off that stupid monkey brain from having your head stomped on every fucking day by, by a monstrosity.
Society.
I went to a concert and the opener was Jim Brewer. For whatever reason, they had a comedian as the opener. And he did a little skit. He was talking about, like, if you gave, obviously it's full length, but this is a short bit. Like, if you gave a shotgun to a crackhead, he's going to kill everybody. If you give a shotgun to an alcoholic, he's going to kill himself and his family. If you give a shotgun to a stoner, he's going to be like, I can make a bong out of this.
I fucking love those videos from Nam of the boys out in the jungle taking bong hits through a shotgun, through an 870 or something.
Yeah, nobody's really that motivated. And if you're smoking weed and it's making you have thoughts like that, like there's honestly probably a mental health concern, because there are certain mental health things like marijuana can exacerbate, but those are rare.
But yeah, like the hunt for the
I
scapegoat.
wouldn't know anything about that.
No. Hey, like, hey, guns, you want to kill anyone yet?
Nah, not yet.
Like, all right, take another hit.
Chilling.
Just be like, all right.
Yeah, enters the chat. Like, we're gonna get all the free weed.
I'm a Fed's wet dream, dude.
I think this entire podcast is a Fed's wet dream, but it's how we socialize, so fuck it.
They think we're funny.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, really, I've talked to Fed adjacents, like, lots of military guys who are pretty far into their career and stuff, who are like, yeah, dude, I'm just chilling and, like, smoking pot and trying to get my homestead started now thanks to the eMilitia. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. It'll be worth whichever one of us gets arrested first. I like to think so anyway.
I think I've talked about me and Pat.
I'll drink to that.
Oh, dude, I met Pat for the first time at Childerberg this weekend.
What? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I love you, Pat.
I love Pat.
Yeah, yay, Pat. So we have like a friendly competition to see like how many like cops we can get to like quit. And of course it's like Pat infinity, Miss Buckles 0. And so he likes to gloat to me and like send me screenshots of different conversations and things like that. And I'm always like, listen, Pat, you used to be a cop. You used to be in the military. I spent a majority of my life avoiding talking to cops. And so now that I deal with them on such, this kind of a level, like I bought 2 extra copies of his book. I wrote on the inside cover of one and I wrote, "You're welcome." And I gave it to the detective and I said, "Please take that to the PD.
Yes.
So Pat's book
Wait.
is currently making its way through the PD department.
The bureaucracy.
Yeah, fuck bureaucracy.
I
yeah.
talk about that all the fucking time. That everyone I fucking meet, is a very neutral conversation you can have with anybody, like who's ever worked for any company that's bigger than 3 people.
Yeah, yes. I think
rather had
than
middle management.
Like I always say to people, like, know your audience when you're talking about, government or ideas or philosophy, anything like that. But truly, Pat's book, Fuck Bureaucracy, is so not safe. Safe is kind of the wrong word, but if your audience is
accessible.
Yeah, accessible for one.
Multifaceted.
All right. We don't need the dictionary. But the thesaurus over here.
No, cool.
But no. Like for people who might not necessarily be ready to talk like politics about why everything's fucked, it's like you can approach them from a very facts over feelings thing and not touch on politics at all and make people realize why government is so fucked. Just discussing bureaucracy, you're like, well, your company you work for sucks because it's bloated and there's a bunch of Karens who don't actually need these jobs who are basically on corporate welfare, right? So like it's all bloated, it's all this just monstrous fucking system, and there's all sorts of nonsense in the way that has no bearing on success. And where else have we seen that? The DMV and every other system we're forced to interact with, and you can get into that whole conversation, and I never really thought about
starting and then he ends it in a positive way too, and he gives you options to get out of the system. Yep. That's why it's such a great book.
Yeah, it's not just doomer, and that's one of the things. Like part of the reason why I post doomer shit sometimes, but part of the reason why I got into the memes and I enjoy this so much was that like the mental health aspect of it, because comedy is used as a release so that you can talk about hard subjects without it just being full-blown depressive. Well, as we talk about agendas and what the powers that be want to force us into, they know how some of us think, and they know that we know what they're doing, but they want some people to go down those rabbit holes and only focus on that and not live their lives, not better themselves, not do anything, isolate. They don't want us to be conscious and have those communities and know our neighbors. Like, I know what most of my neighbors do for a living because I want to know who's a mechanic, who's a plumber, that kind of stuff. Because like, I can't do that shit. And so... and you want to have those people. I've always lived my life like that, though. Now I'm more conscious of the reasoning behind it, but they don't want you to do that. They would love for you to just sit in your house, on your phone, your computer, whatever, and just be like, yeah, these freaking baby eating piece of shit pedophile elites don't do anything. Yes, that's what they are, but also fuck them. I don't want them to make me not want to leave my house because the sun's still great and I'm gonna go swimming and I like to eat food and
if they're keeping you locked in your house,
they're winning.
They've won.
Yep.
Whether you know what they're doing or not, they don't care. You've still consented to give your life away to them. So that's where, like, when you have all this media, that predictive programming that they put out with like the dystopian futures and the AI and the robots, all this garbage, they want us to create that. They want us to think that that's the only option we have, where we can literally just ignore them.
Don't let the terrorists win.
Yeah.
Go outside, get some sunshine.
Yes. Go get some sun on your boat hole. It's good for you.
Yeah. Supercharge that testosterone. I believe there was at least one person who was tanning their balls at Childeberg. So
nice.
Shout out to you, sir, and your testosterone-fueled balls.
Was it Appeal to Liberty in his delightful short shorts?
Well, maybe accidentally. No, fuck. I loved hanging out with him. That was.
What's the biggest Fed you hung out with at Childeberg? You talked to one or two.
Oh no, for sure.
Yeah.
They must have been like kind of bored.
The biggest one. How was he dressed?
Well, there's this guy called
the most
Jay.
Obvious. Jay.
No. Jay from Slurp Gang got a lot of comments on being a Fed because he had like the old Miami man like outfit going. Everyone else was in like kind of basically what Arizonans wear year round. Shorts and a t-shirt.
Flannels, t-shirt, like not khaki shorts anymore, like camouflage
khaki trousers and like a button up. It was a good look.
Okay.
But it stuck out. It stuck out. No, serious feds. No one really stuck out, but there was a few people I was like, I'm not sure about passing you mushrooms, sir. I mean, maybe it would help if you were.
I did not buy these, and I'm not offering them to you. I'm laying them on this table. I don't own them. They're not mine.
Yep. Mushrooms are around.
Oh, look at these. Spill it on the ground. Just like, look what I found.
No.
Act like you picked them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like, oh, dude, I just found these right over there.
Just go full big dick energy and just
I've
eat the
never
whole
had a
bag.
bad. I've never had a bad chocolate.
Yeah.
I've never had a bad trip.
I had one that looked like fucking Darth Vader, and it was the shit.
No, just
Wait,
go
what about
full Super Troopers and eat the whole bag in front of them while making direct eye contact.
They somehow they grind the mushroom up and put it into chocolate, and you just eat the fucking chocolate.
Yeah, it's tasty too.
And like I said, the one looked like Darth Vader. It was sweet.
Oh, that's badass.
Speaking about just keeping on eating them, fucking an appeal to liberty. Like me and my lady had ours, and we were the only three at the time. Well, no, one other guy was having shrooms, but we'd finished ours, and he just kept on eating them like he was hungry. I was like,
Those
all
are
right,
Cheetos, bro.
Yeah. I'm sure do you guys hear the promo for my episode of him describing his 40-year trip through the desert?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, he was peak shrooming, I believe is the term he used. He had a good time. But yeah, if we could get you guys out next year. Like
I said, it's already on the
I'm
calendar.
so worried I'm gonna have a bad trip.
You're not gonna be there next year.
Well, I'll still make the trip down.
Okay, I'm not.
You have to fly.
Yeah.
Like, dude, flying to camp is the hardest fucking thing. Like, you can never take enough gear. Like,
I've never done it, so I'm like, fuck. But
Yeah,
I
like-
really
like-
think I'm still gonna make the drive just because I'll be able to carry everything I need.
all right, maybe we'll convoy down. But
if you can afford the gas.
yeah, fuck.
Yeah, it'll be $10 a gallon by then.
It might
And
just
airlines are fucked too. That's a whole nother
they've been
conspiracy.
doing that.
Like
what?
they're stopping us being able to travel and meet up with each other. Like the whole interference of easy travel works to their advantage.
that sucks for me, seeing as all my family lives like 3,000 miles away
Yeah.
or more. I don't know, fucking more than that.
What
Well,
are your new family?
Well, you are my new family, thankfully.
Move closer to me. We can
Yeah.
do Thanksgiving together.
Oh, I love that.
Cute.
Cute.
We'll have the eMilitia family Christmas.
Yeah, just let me hit the lottery. I'll set
Sounds
us
like
up.
a Lifetime movie special.
Fuck, where was I gonna go? Oh no, speaking of like grand conspiracy and stuff, what you guys were touching on a little bit earlier is the big takeaway from this whole thing is that the cops have seemingly been allowed to look really fucking useless, and so we had, for one,
They have been portrayed to be completely useless. And I'm not here to defend cops. I'm not saying cops aren't useless. I just don't think I think they did more than what you're hearing about. They said they did nothing. I think they did some.
well, that's the thing. This whole low information deal, like we have video of them holding down and detaining parents on hot asphalt outside an active school shooting.
Was that them? Do we have that information? Is that
Somebody getting raided?
I know. I just heard like a
I'm
honk.
getting raided.
Was that a fucking honk? It sounded like a clown honk. I was like, oh my god.
It
Something's
sounded like
tortured by-
I don't know.
Clown world.
Someone's honking some shit outside my house.
Awesome.
No, we have a little
Usually the feds don't roll like that.
in a little clown car. They just all like,
I'm not
18
worried about
feds pop
feds
out.
right now. I'm worried about something else, something scarier.
My wife just rolled in her bikini,
Honk, motherfucker.
and it might be a golf cart in my driveway.
That would make
That
sense.
is beeping.
Meep.
That's a different story.
Fuck. Oh, are you currently being distracted by your wife running around in a bikini?
Oh, she left. She grabbed some beers and fucking booked.
Jesus.
I think there's a golf cart waiting for her in the driveway.
Oh, you better go and have a chat with that dude.
Yeah, you better go investigate a little bit.
My wife ran away with a man in a golf cart.
No, she didn't run away. She's using him for his pool.
I get that girl. I would do the same thing. I have a price. And it's
like nothing shady's happening. I mean,
you're all good, babe.
she just got to do the beer. Like her kids are hanging out.
I'm just talking shit. What we got? Oh,
and he's a loudmouth. Fucking, he's hilarious. Like,
so
you can have too much of him really quickly. It's got.
There's got to be a reason as to why they would want the cops to look useless, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is what we were getting into. Yeah,
because they want federal police. They don't want local police.
Yes.
They want their cute little world government.
Yeah.
Who was the hero? Federal police. Yep. And we still don't know, but that's what they pushed right away. Right away. Federal police came in and saved everything. They were waiting for federal police, and then this gung-ho guy came in out of nowhere, Rambo style, and fucking saved everyone.
Got his head grazed. So he's like, his head was grazed, so he's definitely a hero. And yeah, it's interesting. And it's not like this doesn't come from a completely conspiratorial place, because we've seen evidence for federal agencies being expanded, despite, the popular opinion of everyone, left and right, being like, no, feds fucking suck,
we know how quickly they pull that narrative. Like, as soon as any law enforcement isn't, like local law enforcement isn't quote unquote enough, they're always threatening the National Guard, stuff like that.
Like,
and we see that in
what about this?
The UN. Once there's personal security,
they're expanding the Capitol Police.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into. They now have the Capitol Police now have national officers. What the fuck?
Right,
and then the ATF is getting like more local field officers and stuff, and I'm sure that's happening.
Be surprised, like the FBI
they keep going about the leader of the ATF, and meanwhile the ATF keeps getting more money and more power.
Yep. Well, and people don't realize, like, for the most part, like, unless you actually live in like a super podunk town, every city has an FBI field office. It's not like they put that on the building and advertise it in the phone book, but there's always you have at least 2 agents that work in.
Yeah, everyone has some KGB.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's something people like. If you wake up to nothing else listening to us prattle on, like, realize we live in a very gentrified USSR. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard to confront when you live in the land of the free. But I mean, that's kind of why that's been the thing of this show since its inception, with the Americana kind of vibe, but talking real shit. Like, I love this country, but I hate its fucking government.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
I like the way you said that.
Thank you. I mean, it's something I've been thinking about a lot, because I moved here because, in a general sense, it's easier to live freely. Like, there's more space. There's not like that kind of 1984 feeling in every corner. There's still some frontier. There's still some wild lands to this country, but they're doing their fucking damnedest to eliminate that.
Yeah. Well, culturally, we're driven towards rebellion. That's what what we were founded on. Blah, blah blah. But then you realize that you start seeing where that gets lost as you get closer into bigger cities and stuff like that. Well, they get to a point where you have to be like on that socialist communist level to survive when you're living in places like that, because you depend on other people for your food, for your transportation, for everything.
They've broken down the system so hard
purposefully, yes,
that there's no interaction between people, that it's all through government. And then the government It's just like, yeah, we're
The
not
nanny
doing that.
state, yes. And so they create the thing,
They've made
push
it
you
into
into it.
one system, and they fuck up every gear of the system.
Yes. Well, anybody with a critical thinking brain knows what dementia looks like. And so we know that the person that's on our televisions, that's supposedly the president of the United States, is a puppet. We already knew that office, all that stuff. But like, they want you to look at that and be like, I can't believe they let that man in charge. Yes, the system is that much garbage. And they want us to want to collapse it because they want us to have this thing come in. So
they want succession. I believe they do. Like,
yeah, because then they can have some bigger, they do. The world government's what they want. Like, I know that sounds like too cuckoo.
They believe it's easier to take us over if we just succeed really quick.
Yep.
And we can have all these little mini states fighting. A civil war would actually be better for them.
Delightful for them. Well, Bilderberger's meeting this weekend, if you know what that is.
Oh yes, yeah. When I've told people about Childeberg for the first time, and they're kind of in the know, they're like, "That what?
Yeah.
Whataburg?" Because
hello.
Yeah, where it gets its name from. Yeah, Bilderberg. So I have never really deep dived that. How much hard evidence is there? Is this just a thing that
they put out notes, like everybody knows where they meet, like it's a legitimate group that meets, and they list like who's involved in it.
So it's like the G8 kind of deal.
Is it different than the World Economic Forum?
There's people in it. Yeah, it's more of like I would almost consider it like a conference kind of a thing. Like more of it's not that it's like a group, but G8's a conference.
Yeah. I just pulled up an annual conference established in 1954 to establish dialogue between Europe and North America. So to make sure that the monarchs and oligarchs transfer their wealth from the old world to the new world,
and then back again.
Yep. To each other.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So
wild.
That's just
so
one.
Like NATO or any of the other ones.
Yeah, all of that shit is so creepy. Like, I know a lot of people get upset when you're like, or some people get upset when you're like, all of these old white guys and stuff. It's like, dude, these guys are like, they are Mayflower, royal-blooded, inbred motherfuckers with bloodlines that go back like hundreds, if not thousands of years. They are blue-blooded as fuck, and it's so interwoven. Like, I saw something like over 40, if not, I don't remember if it was all of the presidents or like over 40 of them, something like that.
Are related.
I think it was or are related to royal bloodlines and stuff.
Yep.
Including Obama.
Yeah, and that's not even like crazy conspiracy stuff, because there was like some little 3rd grade, 4th grade girl who did a school project and found that out. And it became national news.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's like that's what. But again, because this is a plan from a long time ago, and that's when I come from the conspiracy world.
Have any of you listened to? Give me.
You're gonna be like Richard Spencer.
No.
I'm coming from Bill Cooper and Behold a Pale Horse land.
The Hidden Life is Best podcast.
See, I don't deep dive any of this. This is like the stuff that I dip my toe in because I'm like, there's so much real street shit right in front of us. But yeah, no, it gets creepy.
You need to listen to this. He only has 6 episodes.
Okay, I can do that.
They take a long time to come up. Each one's like an hour or so. And it starts with like William Shakespeare. It's very British in how like William what's the guy's name? William Shakespeare ain't William Shakespeare. And
it's not like
it's about
Francis
Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
I was gonna say I'd be really interested if it was one of those shows that says William Shakespeare was actually black. I'd be like, I'm so down to hear whatever this is.
It's entertaining to me, and
what's it called again?
There's a lot of history in it. The Hidden Life is Best.
The Hidden Life is Best.
The Hidden Life is Best.
Sounds like it sounds a bit culty now.
Okay, I see it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's about history. I'm into that. So, because, again, like I said this a long time ago.
back to me. Tell me how much you love it. Tell me how much you hate it. I want to
So
hear
It's on
about
my
it. I've
to-do
listened
list.
to each episode like 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
It's
this
entertaining, if nothing else. Like he's got good production value and some music, and it's good.
all of that stuff is so interesting to me because, like, there's so much that affects us on a day-to-day basis that I try and focus on, like all the prepping stuff. And then there's like something that really turned me off conspiracy was like watching those old school prepper shows where it's like some guy's got like some bunker underneath his house and he's got like 5 years of food and guns and stuff. I'm like, that's awesome. And then you ask him why, and he's like, well, it's because the lizards and like whatever else, all this other shit. And you're like, fuck, all right, dude, there's so much real shit to be prepping for, but they'd always be prepping for like the most ridiculous shit.
Right.
And like I guess the idea generally was that even though it's a pretty sound to be prepping like that, it was always to make them out to be these crackpots and kind of like, the only reason you'd have a need for this is if you're crazy.
On that show, each one of them had one good idea.
Yeah, that was
you
the
could
other.
take away from it. You could be like, well, that makes sense. Everything else was nonsense, but there was like always one good idea about prepping.
Yeah,
Well,
like having cigarettes for trading and stuff like that.
Yeah, just
even if you don't
stupid,
smoke.
but like, even if you didn't smoke, like it's a good commodity.
They definitely want whiskey.
Whiskey's my one because like worst case, if I'm the last fucking man on earth, I can at least enjoy it instead of having like 2 pallets of smokes when I fucking hate the things. Feel like, god damn it, I'm just gonna take up smoking and whatever, fuck it.
No, whiskey is a good one.
They want the prepper guy. They like him because he's isolated. He's not building a community and like, they
Building
don't. They like
community is
him.
the most important thing. Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I did. So, like I said, I've come from the conspiracy side of this. I was apolitical forever because I learned a long time ago it was bullshit. So I didn't care what they were doing. I knew they were all puppets. I knew they were evil, whatever. So I didn't care what their current agenda was. I was looking more into the spiritual side, esoteric, all the occult, all that stuff. So when you get more into it and you realize how much a part of that is in the politics, because it doesn't matter if you don't believe in it, they do. So they're doing what they do for a reason. And it was from a long time ago. They had a plan. America was built a certain way for a reason. It's literally designed to collapse. Like we are the next
You're going to
world.
love that podcast I just recommended.
Sweet. Yes. So that's like so when I'm here, so I live in 2 worlds where I'm fully aware of the bullshit evil that's going on. I'm aware of their agendas at all time. I still enjoy life. I like going to the beach. I have fun. I plan trips. I do stuff. And then I'm nice to my neighbors and I try to figure out who's going to make me a sandwich if I can't and things like that. What I figured out was, okay, so this is their agendas. This is their goal. What don't they want from us? And they don't want us to talk to each other, enjoy this community and being, human beings together. They want us to isolate and hate each other and literally be the plugged in matrix batteries with our VR headsets, living this life, not actually living a life.
Yep. The example I would bring up is, they want us to be those matrix batteries, like you said, that are calling the cops on each other for noise complaints. Yes. Like that's how isolated they want you.
Yes. Yeah, where you're not even willing to knock on the neighbor's door.
Yeah, that is the most obscene shit. Yeah.
But that's the thing is, that's that nanny state. We have been coddled into thinking somebody else will take care of stuff for us. And that's what makes me sad when I have those older people who come through the system that they're like, wait, there's no safety net for me? You're like, oh, honey.
No, nothing. Everything you believed was a lie. The whole system that you thought was going to be there to take care of you is failing you, like, and just like miserably. They're like dragging you through it.
That's one of the saddest things is to see somebody who's lived their life believing in realize that realization in their face when they know that everything they've ever been told is a lie is really gut wrenching. You're just like, oh, come here, sweet baby bird. Like I know
you definitely need a hug right now.
Yeah. People
that's why I'm
who
so
have never been through the court system, even to fight a speeding ticket.
Yeah, they have no idea.
No idea.
And they're always mad.
You're
They're
like-
like, "This isn't fair." And I'm like, "Oh, honey, you think you're the first one? Like, no, you won't be the last either. Like,
Yeah.
there's more rapists in the system working, punching paper than there are in the jail system. Like, and I mean that hyperbolic. Like, they're raping you out of money and fines and fees and things like that, and time, because that's where I was at with people who have like speeding tickets and stuff. I'm like, literally take it to trial. Because I come from the mindset of like, are you going to waste my time and money? Well, we're wasting everybody's time and money. And
well, no. See, I've taken lots of speeding tickets to trial, and here's the deal: like where I live, you have to go to court, and then you're allowed to plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest.
Or fuck you.
And no contest means you're guilty, but like they can't come back at you. At least that's what they tell you
right
when you're there. So you plead not guilty, and you're like, I just want to deal with this right now. And they're like, no. We have to schedule a different court date. Now the cop that pulled you over has to show up.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you're like, okay, well I already did this. I'm gonna do the next one. I'll take another day off. Mm-hmm. And so you take another day off, and you show up, and you hope the cop doesn't show up, because if he doesn't, you get off.
Correct.
Because he isn't there to testify. But if he does show up, and then you go to the prosecutor, and you're like, look, dude, I just don't want points on my license. Like I told this dumb cop when he fucking pulled me over for speeding. Like, I'm like, dude, can you just write me a ticket that doesn't give me points on my license? And he's like, I can't lie. And I'm like, that's a lie right there.
Yeah, you're like, you're actually allowed to lie, bro.
Yeah, you lie all the time.
You totally can, man. I've seen you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah. Remember that time? I was like, just give me a ticket that doesn't give me points. I'll pay the fine. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, we can do that. And I'm like, but it costs $50 more. I'm like, yeah, that's what I said.
Convenience fee.
Yeah, whatever. Because you get points on your license, and your insurance goes up, and you pay for that for like 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
Dude, I just want to get to the point where we're living in the USSA, to the point that cops will take bribes way more regularly.
Yeah, like the federales in Mexico.
Yes,
I was
that's
told
so
since
convenient.
I was a teenager, and we would like go across the border every so often down in Juarez. Like I should be dead in a gutter 3 times over. But we would go across the border all the time. And I was told to keep at least $60 in cash on me, because you could pretty much get out of anything if you just give them at least like $60 was like enough. And I was like,
yeah, bump that hourly rate.
yeah, you're like, okay, keys, phone, wallet, bribery money. Good. Let's go to Mexico.
Yes. If you're traveling in any dodgy country, always have some bribery money secreted away from your wallet.
Oh, dude,
But don't offer it, because they'll just take it and still fuck you over. You have to let
knew
them
a guy who
know.
worked for an airlines after the Soviet Union collapsed, and like you had to pay the mob a fee to take the plane off. And they're like, yeah, they're like, hold on to this money. And they're like, what? And you're like, yeah, you got to take off at some point. And they only take cash. Like, okay.
Wow.
And like, his normal thing was like to fix the plane was broke and put gas on it. And they're like, hold this money.
Wow.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's obviously room for corruption like that. That's easy.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's
that's how it should be in a capitalist thing. Hey, pay me. Like, maybe not in cash. Like, maybe we have a better system than that.
Well, I mean, the going rate these days from a cop is usually being put down on your fucking knees and either being executed or giving head. So
Yeah, they do prefer thrill kills these days. Not gonna lie.
Fuck. So we've done the federal police. What the fuck else was going? Oh, the fucking. I mean, you guys must have seen the mother that ran into the school.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and
She's-
got her 2 kids or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's fake as fuck.
Oh my god,
They
really?
keep jamming it down your throat. Like, what?
See,
Like, why do they keep jamming this lady down my throat? And like the guy that actually ran in that you see originally seen all the memes of his head being skinned and everything like that. It was supposed to kill the shooter. Why do I see him none?
I haven't even seen that.
Exactly. Who has?
No one. No one.
You've seen some pieces parts, but you haven't seen like he had an interview. He did an interview about how he went in unarmed and didn't go like far enough to the shooter because the cops had it under control, and he got his kids out and then he left.
Wait, I thought that guy had a shotgun. I heard another fucking story that was
exactly. You did
where he got a shotgun from a barber because he didn't have a gun on him or something, and he ran in.
I heard that whole fucking conspiracy theory build up.
Oh my god!
I heard he had his kit in his car, and then it made it to he got a shotgun from a barber.
Yeah, wait. Who the fuck has that kit in their car but not a gun?
He didn't have his kit in his car. He didn't even have a gun. He went. He was at the barber and left and went there.
I heard that.
And
yes.
he was a federal agent, and he knew everyone in town, so they allowed him into the situation, and he got his kids out because the cops had to do barricaded. And from what the guy says, is that the cops were breaking outside windows of the building and actively getting kids out. That's what the hero that the media like portrayed said in an interview. They're not playing that, which is weird.
That is weird. You'd figured they'd be all over that.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit the agenda.
Right.
He said the cops were doing a good job, and he could have said that because he knows them, and he's like, he doesn't want to not say it, but he's the one person that they want to pinpoint as being there, but not tell you what he has to say.
So the other thing, the I guess police commander in charge of like the incident at the time,
the chief.
Was in the middle of transferring into a political position.
Yeah, say like city council or something. He had just been voted on to.
Yeah, and so the really confusing thing, and I mean, Christ, this is a whole other part of it as well, is that apparently local police are now not cooperating with wider police agencies at large in terms of information and like sharing stuff, because I guess they've realized what a spectacular fuck up it is for them. And so the word on the ground is that they're now refusing to cooperate with other agencies and stuff to kind of cover their ass. So fuck only knows what's true out of that and what that actually means. You guys heard about any of that?
Yes, I've heard a lot about it, and it's gonna keep changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what you said, like and not everything about it's true. Like the cop that became the civil service agent and had the election under, they didn't have a ceremony because they were worried about it. He was the chief of police for it wasn't even it was for the school district. He was the chief of police for the school district or something like that. It was his official title.
That exists?
Huh?
So that exists?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Will have
like
private police, just like universities.
And supposedly he won the election beforehand.
Yeah.
And it was like
I've heard that.
Yes, he was. So 5 days ago, he was sworn in as a city council member behind closed doors, is what I'm seeing. And he was the school district police chief prior to the city council position. So, like, clearly this guy, he's plugged in, and
he's the main guy. He was in charge. He was the scene commander or whatever the official thing is.
Yeah, but he didn't have a radio on him,
and they've kind of silenced them.
Yeah,
I've gotten a lot of information from him, and he was so like, why is that?
Well, he's probably a convenient scapegoat because I like you said, I've not seen anything from him. I've just seen pictures of him.
I think he's a scapegoat too, and he knows it, and he's trying to avoid it. But
Watch him
whatever he
conveniently
does,
have a heart attack in the next couple of weeks.
he might if he keeps resisting.
That's one thing I have seen in my cuckoo cuckoo research is a lot of times the people who die in some of these incidences, like their loved ones end up dying around them in pretty quick succession, like heart attacks, car accidents, suicides. And you're like, either like, you know, the universe hates that whole fucking family and there's a curse.
Well, don't go down that road unless you know the person already has some competence, because like then you're just a crazy person.
Oh, I already got that label, but yes, but that's what, like, even like the teacher who was killed, the 4th grade teacher, whatever, her husband died of a heart attack, like or whatever, and I was all,
yeah, it's like, oh well, that's nice and neat, isn't it? Because was she the only adult casualty?
I think there was 2.
Yeah,
2. Well, sometimes
they 2 now, but it could change. Because they've been spending a lot of time avoiding the actual casualty numbers since like the first day.
Yeah, 19 children and 2 teachers.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess it was.
I mean, I think Guns made a meme about this. Like, these are still real deaths.
Yeah, no,
like,
that
let's not forget this. Like.
No, correct. But that's the thing. They're willing to do that. They're literally willing to kill children. We know that.
Exactly. They're killing children. Like, these are actual deaths. Like, we're not taking this in light. This isn't this. We're not making
crisis
jokes about it. We understand.
They sacrifice these kids. Like, full stop.
Yeah.
They sacrifice the kids.
That's the weirdest conspiracy thing for me. I mean, I believe that such a thing is possible, but when it comes to like mass casualty events, they want real bodies. They want real grieving victims.
And and even like the crazy energy that puts behind it's a literal sacrifice. Like, they are murdering children on purpose for their gain.
Yeah, and this goes back to like Operation Northwoods, where they were talking about killing American citizens to start a war. They were talking about doing a terror, like
9/11
a play terrorist attack on American soil in order to start a war. And if you think they just came up with that idea and they filed it away and they never thought about it again,
yeah, right?
Get the fuck out of here.
We'll never bring that up again.
You had brought up MK Ultra a little bit earlier, and that was one of the things.
Kind of jokingly, but
well, you know, they've admitted that happened. Like, Bill Clinton apologized for it however many years ago and things like that. But my joke when people are like, "Well, yeah, we know it. They told us what they did." I'm like, "Do you think they tell you what?" Because you know, when they tell you the fucked up shit that they do and they have to declassify it, I'm like, "Do you think they let out what works and what's still working?"
Yeah, like
they're
his
telling you where they fucked up. Like, yeah, they killed a bunch of people in this way, but oops. The successful ones that they've killed people through, you don't know about those ones.
Yeah.
Because they're working and they're still utilizing them today. So
yes. I'm sure in like 80, 100 years, it's going to be coming out how there was like the mass encouragement of people to just eat fucking
or maybe not
trash food.
Or maybe not.
Well,
if what they do works, then no.
Who knows? Yeah, you know.
I mean, well, they may know, but they won't care. That's the thing is, like, people know about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and all that. Like, they know about that, and yet they're like nobody's in an uproar that.
Oh, and much older stuff where it's like,
well, you think there's only one pedophile island? Like, there's multiple billionaires. Like,
I like to think people are resilient, and eventually they'll revolt because they can only take so much, and. Any authoritarian always wants to push more than what they can take.
Well, that's why their agenda is multifaceted, though. It's not just about that. Like, they've literally bred it into us. Like, they, you know, through the food and the environment and all that crap, like our little water, the drugs. Yes. Like, they have literally bred us through the school systems. They want us mindless, and they're doing a very good job. So, but on the flip side, see, I want to switch on that doomer vibe because, again, yes, they're doing a really good job, but even some of those people can still be woken up. And that's why, like you said, gauge your audience and see what you can talk to people about, but one of my favorite things is I like to call it being like the rock in the shoe. I like to be a rock in people's shoe, and I like to have conversations and just like drop little nuggets about stuff that hopefully they'll like question later. Just like plant a little seed so that when they actually go
There
out and
you
about,
go.
they see it again. They're like, "Ah, fuck," and then they just keep chewing on it because it's stuck, and they're like, "God damn it!" And they're like, "Fuck, heck, Buckles was talking about that."
That's like
Actually, lately at work, I haven't even been that. I've just been dropping it on them. The one guy's like, "Why do you got that A on your fucking level?" I'm like, "'Cause I'm an anarchist," and he's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought it meant." All right, well, like, let's talk about that. I'm like, yes, let's talk about that.
Talk. Yeah.
Yeah, the other day at work, like the whole the shooting came up, and I was like, yeah, the cops were cowards, and everyone was like, I'm not sure about that. I was like, yeah, they waited outside while kids got killed.
Yeah, and here's my thing is that's also what mainstream media reported.
Yeah, which is sus. We're all sus.
Which is sus as fuck. Like, if mainstream media is reporting exactly what I thought.
Well,
I was saying that the day after, where it was still like
your mindset should just be like, how are they utilizing this?
But no, I get it that the people you work with are like, no, the cops couldn't ever do anything.
Yeah, they did everything they could. I was like, they really fucking didn't.
That's like a safety mechanism people do unconsciously, like for themselves. Like if people admitted to themselves how much danger they were really in, like they'd go insane.
Yeah.
And so people have to like minimize and kind of be like a certain level of delusional to like function in the world. Like, no, the police will totally save me and I'm never going to be a victim of anything and everything's great. And people there's not baby eating pedophiles running the world. Everything's great. And my vote counts.
Yeah. It's a much. That what do they call that? The inconvenience.
Those are barriers they built because it's easier than fighting back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's compatible. But
it is, and it is also an excuse for like continued laziness. Like that is that somebody will always take
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Whenever I tell people my kind of grand plans for where I want to end up and being self-sustainable and all that, they're all like, "Oh man, that sounds like a lot of work." I'm like, yeah. Like life is a lot to dude. It's not just
responsibility for yourself is a kind of a lot, but the more responsibility you have, the better. It's nice.
My idea of self-sustainable doesn't mean I have to produce everything I want.
No.
Right.
Like I think like a lot of people think, "Oh, I'm gonna produce everything." No.
That's why you have a conscious community, so that you know who's got what. Yeah. Because what if you're allergic to chickens or something? You can't even have chickens.
Having a skill don't hurt either. Like a lot of people want a garden, cool. Like turn a wrench.
Mm-hmm. Well, even like like a lot of people that I know that have been getting into like crocheting and sewing again, and I'm like, that's a
good.
Big skill. Yes, because you're gonna need to learn how to darn a sock because you can't buy more.
If everything fucking collapses down and people need to fucking learn how to sew, and they want you to think with the baby formula thing. They want you to think that America can't produce for itself. And now because of their regulation, they're making a break on it. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to save you. We have this regulation and we're not getting rid of it. But we're going to save you and bring in some extra baby formula just because we love you. Really late when
that was
I had a long problem with it.
That was a pretty wild thing because that was the first that I've seen in my lifetime, the first really public display of foreign aid to America, right? Mm-hmm. That's pretty fucking wild.
And of the most base of needs, like feeding babies.
Yeah. Well, not like. Well, I guess there must have been some. Was there foreign aid during like Katrina or anything?
It's the idea that America can't take care of itself, and is a global economy.
Yeah, exactly.
We can only survive as a people if we all get together throughout the globe, which is false because, like, people in the Midwest can live in the Midwest. Like, people in the desert can live in the desert. Maybe not as many that live there now.
No. If the world collapses, I'm not living in the desert. Fuck that.
Yeah, because air conditioning and stuff. Like the Midwest, you need air conditioning sometimes, but you can always go like float in a river or lake.
Yeah, the closer to
down
water,
here,
the better.
You would have to have some like dystopian underground city kind of setup. But
The hill
fuck,
people.
where was I gonna go? Yeah, and people.
You don't have to be completely independent, but you have to be useful so you can trade in and out.
Well, once an
or just
important
buy a bunch of
skill
silver.
as an adult
Yeah,
is
that
knowing
works
when
too.
to ask for help. That's a skill, is knowing when you need help.
I
and when to
agree
ask
with
for
that
it and
because
where to
I'm
ask for
so
it.
bad at that, and
Mhm.
I work on it every day, and it's very, very, very slow progress.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm horrible at asking for help, and I know that. That doesn't mean I'm better at asking for help.
Rezzy, are you a few drinks deep?
Couple.
No, what I was going to talk about was we've seen a lot of like our media kind of angle towards talking about like the end times and government kind of failing in like very recently, and it's like, oh, what? That's kind of interesting. But then what's the solution? Like whenever they talk about corruption and stuff, the solution's never like, oh, the people like became free and they figured it out for themselves and now they're like autonomous. It's always no, they like reformed democracy and democracy came back and they just talked a little bit better, they voted a little harder, and everything turned out okay. Is like always kind of the solution to dystopia that we see in like modern media. Like the solution to a bad government is a better government.
Right.
And so what you guys were saying about the whole World Economic Forum and like the federalization of police and what we were just talking about with the foreign aid kind of thing, and you know that whole globo homo thing.
Yeah.
The plug into the globalism, you know, like that's the only way you're gonna make it in this scary new world. And so many people are so quick to dismiss the Great Reset thing,
Right.
just because it's so like.
Well, then they just
ambiguous.
partnered. The World Economic Forum and Meta, however you want to say that, just partnered together. So what does that tell
Oh, like
you?
Meta, like Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy. Great.
They're openly advertising each other now. And when you find out that the WEF has their own police force and has for like 10 years now, like, what?
So yeah, so I'm sure many of our listeners will have seen
Hope the
that.
uniforms are cool because I'm going to collect them.
I mean,
Yes,
that's quite
I
a
want some
patch they have.
patches.
Yeah, but
It's a distraction.
Well,
yes.
you think
Because people think that they're like, oh, well, these are gonna come to America, and the UN's gonna come to America, and I'm gonna collect helmets. No, it's not. It's coming from within. Like,
no, I agree with that. Everyone always jokes about like
no one's coming for your gun in a blue helmet.
no,
They don't care
it'll
about
be
your gun because you're going to be starving. Such a sunshiny episode.
I love how you say it as well. Like it's never like ultra doomery. You're like, yeah, because you're gonna be starving. It's like, oh my fucking god, it's so polite. So it says it's so nice, but I'm like,
it's just
hiding
true.
behind my couch. You're like, that's just what it is, man.
Well, I was having a conversation with I have a friend who works diplomatic security in Afghanistan. He's like a paramedic or something. And he's currently there right now. And he had texted me like, hey, shit's getting weird. I hope you have some extra food stored up. And I was like, yeah, I'm good, bro. Thanks. And so me and another friends got talking on that subject. And there's little things that are convenient. Like it's convenient that baby food shortage is happening. Like, did you hear about the peanut butter scare? Like there's supposedly like a salmonella outbreak in peanut butter. And so they were telling everybody to like dump their peanut butter, and I'm like, well, what are the odds that this calorie rich food that's really great to store and keep on hand and can keep you alive for a long time in a food shortage, and now it wants to be dumped?
Well, and we just had, what was it? I'm pulling the numbers out of my ass, but I think it might have been something like the 4th biggest egg processing plant in the country.
Yeah,
just
two went up at the same night, like this weekend.
Oh, really?
2 just went up, yeah, different states, yeah.
And God damn it!
Yeah.
God damn it!
Like well over 20 food processing plants, so maybe it's up to 40 now. But last I read, it was 20. And people are like, oh, that's just a coincidence because this one was this and they weren't operational at this time of year. And I'm like, what at this time of year, meaning at some time of the year they are operational. So just because it burnt down when it wasn't operating means it isn't crucial. Okay.
Yeah, and with stuff like this, I try so hard to remain, level-headed, because it's like we could be cherry picking these things just as much as someone like the way there was a thread on how mass shooting statistics are counted, or like school shootings are counted, where a drug deal is happening in a school parking lot at 3 a.m. And it goes bad, and someone gets shot, and that is then counted because it's 3 or more, 4 or more, whatever it is. I think it's 3 or more for a mass shooting. Then it's counted as a school shooting because it happened within the vicinity of the school. Not that it was violence against children in a school. It's just like it happened in the parking lot after hours, so it's a school shooting. So at the same time, I'm definitely leaning much harder towards the fact that there is some fuckiness going on with the supply line, and I'm sure there's some creepy stuff happening with sabotage and stuff. But I do have to just kind of like put a pin in it and like hit the brakes every now and then and be like, are we just reacting the same as the potential? Are we being as much useful idiots like we've been talking about as the other side who are like, no, we need more boot on your neck.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying before. We're like, they want you on either side. They want you to give up regardless, whether that's give into their system or be so aware that it sucks that you don't live a life.
Yeah. No, very well said.
Yeah, well, is your reaction doing anything?
Yeah, there you go.
Like, are you just wasting energy reacting to something that you have no ability to change?
It fuels my rage as I knit sweaters for children. The nuclear holocaust to come.
Using energy to knit sweaters is something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Using energy to stop the nuclear holocaust or World War III.
It's not gonna happen.
I do that on the side when I'm ain't got nothing else going on. I just got thoughts going through my head, but like you have to live your life.
But I live in a world where I am convinced that our memes make a difference.
Oh no, they do, and that's why I do them.
There's some bureaucrat.
But you gotta live your life.
Yes, and enjoy it, and enjoy it, and don't
doom and gloom. Like
feel guilty about enjoying it.
Life goes on.
Yes.
Like through every conflict ever, people just still had to live their life. Most people, like World War I, World War II, like most people just like kept living their life.
That's actually the most punk rock shit right there, is to like live your life and be happy when they want you to be miserable.
It was harder. Find the happiness in it and figure out how to survive.
Yeah, you're sitting there with trench foot, just put a smile on your face, you fucking cunt.
Yeah,
whatever,
right.
you need one less sock. Don't worry about supplies.
No. Cut it off quick.
But that's like the key to being happy with the human condition, is like that there will always be some kind of bad times to live through. It's not just like shit was perfect for our parents or their parents or their parents or whatever. Like everyone's had some kind of struggle. Ours, unfortunately, is the slow collapse of the state. And that's kind of a fun thing to live through. I think everyone keying into this right now, and I think we're the people to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I read a lot of books, and I read like Anne Rice and vampire books and stuff like that. I was that moody teen, and I was always jealous of vampires because they got to watch history. And so like one of my favorite books she had written, one of the vampires like literally got to watch the entire collapse of Rome and like got to watch it burn. And I was always like, oh man, I would love to be a fly on the wall. And then as an adult, I'm sitting here like making memes and I'm like, oh, I am that fly.
Yay!
Collapse of Rome. Like, yay. But then I'm like, but I'm not an immortal vampire. I'm living in it and I have to feed myself.
Yeah. I'm literally in the middle of Rome. Fuck.
Yep.
God damn it.
It is what it is, though. You gotta live your best life.
Indeed.
And be thankful for the little things.
Don't let the whole collapse fucking bother you. Like, you still gotta enjoy yourself. It's coming down.
Yes, it's happening anyway. You can't stop that train. And like when I talked about the memes and the mental health and the like avoiding the doom and gloom, like that grateful attitude makes a difference. Like be grateful for even the small bits, because like even talking to you about going camping and shooting guns, like I forget how spoiled I am. where I live when it comes
No,
to
seriously.
firearms and the freedom of camping. And even my town, like in Arizona, compared to other towns in Arizona, like through the pandemic and all that garbage, like my life really didn't change and it was nice. And so I'm very blessed, and I try to remember that like every morning when I go about my shit, and I'm always like, fuck these people. And then I'm like,
I was reminded the other day. I made a meme about how times are about to get worse and everything. And the guy's like, dude, you don't live in the ghetto. Times are already worse.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I don't see that. That's not my. But he's like, yeah, times are worse. And I'm like, I get that. Cool. Like, I've been there. I'm not there right now, so I can't talk for him. But
right.
If you're saying times are already that bad, then what can I say?
Yeah. That was like a real. I hate to like pound on about Childeberg, but it was like a little pop up anarcho village for the weekend, for Memorial Day weekend, and like seeing Childeberg is incredible, and I think there's something in Arizona, Buckles. You might have heard about it. There's some kind of like little hippy dippy kind of gathering of similar minded people.
I have not.
I forgot what the fucking name is. I need to look into it.
I'm not cool, I
But
guess.
yeah, there's a few little festivals like this where people get together and you see what a bunch of people self-policing and freely associating looks like in actuality. And when you're like mixing with like-minded people who are all on the same level, and you're like, huh, this is literally just how humans are meant to exist.
Yeah.
Like literally your tribe, people that you associate with, that you feel safe around, that are your people. It is so phenomenally, wildly fucking different to the day-to-day where you're giving everyone, these little side glances and you're like, I have no idea what your fucking deal is when you see someone a little bit sketched out. Indescribable.
Yeah.
And we had that, like a microcosm of that when we got together for our little eMilitia gathering in Havasu, but like being around a few hundred people like that, like they say whatever your like the average amount of people that you should feel comfortable around, going back to that monkey brain is like around 150 or so, depending on, how good you are at socializing, just tribal shit. But yeah, just being around like just a small number of people like that. Holy shit. I highly recommend it on any level, like whatever community you can find out there. Just finding people, and everyone who's participated in like some kind of wider organization or something has felt that in some way, but that's just that as a lifestyle is what everyone should be angling towards.
Yeah. Well, that all of a sudden, like, it was frowned upon to have like a simple life.
Yeah, that was old fashioned, and you got to move to the big city to like make something of yourself. Was kind of like the attitude of progress.
Or sometimes your purpose can just be existing and growing carrots.
You don't have to live in the country and grow carrots to be simple.
No, yeah, you don't.
Just don't fall into the corporatism and
well, it's just really taking
commercialism of everything. Like, you don't need 12 TVs. You don't need 10 pair of shoes, like, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would love to see cities die off and then be kind of brought back as people are like, oh, we fucked that up, How
would that happen, though?
Well, I think we're kind of seeing the very, very early stages of it. Like, you're seeing people kind of...
the mass exodus from California.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of... what I see is kind of a trickle in, trickle out in all sorts of different places, like, Phoenix or Austin or any of these more... not Austin necessarily, but like big, kind of Austin. Anyway, anywhere where there's more of a conservative attitude, but in a city, lots of progressives from these dying coastal cities and blue states and stuff are moving there. Yeah, because they're like, oh, cost of living sucks and taxes are too much, blah, blah, blah. So they move to these places and then they just make it like where they came from. And so then all of the people who were established in these cities are like, fuck, well, my family only came to the city like, my grandpa is the one that moved here. I now need to return to what he was doing because my parents had a fucked up idea of staying here and doing this. Return to tradition and all that. So they're like, oh, fuck this. I'm going more rural. And so you're seeing then them running away from the the coastal people coming into their cities. And I think give it like 10, 20 years, people are going to be like, oh, all of those people who left when we moved here had the right idea. And I truly think as rural living becomes more popular and we see these, the gradual trend upwards with like things like homeschooling and
Well,
more
technology makes that possible.
yeah, like you can work for like you can do all sorts of cool jobs remotely now, and it's like cheaper and honestly better for the environment, not running AC for like massive buildings and keeping it on at home for your dog all day and all that kind of shit. Like that's just kind of the sensible way of the future.
Larkin Rose would just say that's inevitable.
Yeah, and I truly I feel like it is, and it's not going to be for everyone. There's cities will always carry on existing, but I think they're going to become.
They're going to be more centralized around. I don't want to say a corporation, but like a product. A city will be good at casting steel.
Yeah,
like because some cities like shipping and everything that just makes sense.
It makes it totally sound like the Hunger Games, where like each district had their own specialty, like coal, electricity.
But they don't have to do that. Like they could also be in like medical.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's not like, but some cities like will, but it could be in a smaller like as technology goes on. A 3D printer, you're a manufacturer. You can now manufacture whatever you want. Right. Not whatever you want, but like a lot of things.
Yeah, so stuff like that is going to eliminate the kind of desire and the need to centralize things, and also at the same time, as kind of, and this is all just talking out my ass, as people kind of get less and less happy with the state of government, which is pretty, it's getting pretty bad right now. People are getting more and more noticing of it, regardless of their politics. I think the rural control will eventually drop off, and we're gonna see people kind of. I'm like talking wild hopes here, but this is my optimism talking. I think it's just gonna become far more promising to live rurally and far like just a better lifestyle. It's gonna be like people living proof of concept now. People are gonna be early adopters. The mass wave of new homesteaders, and in 10 to 20 years, when there's this actual visible culture of it, this undeniable culture of it, and seeing the success of it, it's gonna be like, oh, well, why the fuck are we still doing cities? So that's how I think that's gonna happen, and why they might become a little bit desolate in the future, because there's just gonna be less demand for it naturally. They're just gonna be shitholes to live in. And they already are, but it's just going to get worse as they try and death grip onto this way of doing
these
things.
Giant cities.
Yeah, they'll always exist, but I think they're not gonna become.
I think they'll shrink a little bit.
I don't know. There's
I hope so, but
I hope so too. But
you think New York can maintain itself forever?
No, I mean you already see it in places like Orlando where they just they don't use old buildings, they just build new ones, and like give it a few natural disasters and just it being too expensive to clear places. Cities are just gonna become.
Well, that's kind of the Build Back Better agenda, though. You don't see that? Like Florida has all these fucking little bit older buildings, not like old where I'm from. Like we're like those are new buildings because they're built in the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Wait, so what is the Build Back Better agenda? Because I saw a meme today saying, like, I haven't seen one single Build Back Better hat.
Well, you can't really build back better until you destroy what's already there.
What a campaign promise.
Build Back Better is also you'll eat bugs and you'll own nothing and you'll like it.
Well, the actual I think it was World Economic Forum.
Yeah, exactly.
The actual World Economic Forum was like, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what they also came up with Build Back Better, which Biden took from them like a year later. Like he was like, well, weird, huh?
Well, Hearing you explain it with a slur, it makes me go like, I'm gonna have to Google that. But no, honestly,
Google it.
Google it, or DuckDuckGo it. Although they're compromised, rip. Fuck knows what tearing it all down will really look like.
It's gonna be a whole lot scarier.
My thing is,
frog in the pot. It's gonna be slow.
No,
You don't even know.
no matter what it looks like, it's coming.
Mhm.
like shit's gonna be a lot different. People are gonna have a lot harder lives. Start learning to live with a little bit less.
Yeah. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
We have very much been the man with the sandwich board sign podcast as of
Bring in
late.
the doomsday bell.
yeah, hear ye. The times are fucked.
But even then, like
beans.
It being hard isn't even going to be like the level that some people visualize, like some third world status where it's like Dust Bowl era, like we're selling off our kids. We've just been
it's gonna be hard compared to having 3 subscription services.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just can't order DoorDash every night.
Yeah. Oh,
You actually have to cook.
Do you think that's a do you think DoorDash is part of the depopulation thing?
Yes.
They're just making everyone so fucking reliant that we have no cooking skills.
Correct.
Yes.
And you're going to rely on an automated robot to bring you your Meals on Wheels.
It's so wild that already exists.
It helps
Seeing
them.
those little robots is so funny.
Yeah, those little robots freak me out though.
Yeah, I'm not.
Are they like active anywhere where you guys are?
I went to Walmart and there's a floor cleaner that's a robot.
Oh yeah, I've seen a robot floor cleaner before.
Yeah.
He beeped at me.
Yeah.
You put a hand on your Glock like you're lucky.
Yeah. No,
Oh fucking hell!
I was like, oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now it's excuse me. Soon he's gonna be hunting you down through ruins. You're like, excuse me.
I was nice to you.
My name is Johnny Five. You killed my father. Prepare. You're not a fan. You want Skynet? This is how you get Skynet.
Jesus, it's always like in addition to all of this shit going on, robots are still coming, guys. Just quietly in the background.
Those
They're
fucking
like
Boston Dynamic robots freak me the fuck out too.
The dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get Nathan to illustrate some Boston Dynamics targets.
Oh.
That'd be kind of sick because they actually do have kill zones, the batteries on them.
Oh.
And because the military and police are, that it's all balanced out without armor or anything on it. At the minute, they're just co-opting civilian models, so they're unarmored. So even like a regular 9mm or maybe even a 380 could probably penetrate at least Spot. Yeah, and then the Atlas, the humanoid one, the Spot's the dog one. Atlas, I'm pretty sure, is also unarmored, so you just hit the fucking lithium battery pack, and it's fucked. But we're on our way to the T800, and I'm sure that'll be a little different.
Yeah, once they get armored, we're fucked.
You're like, fuck. Gonna have to drop $8,000 on a fucking 6-spear. The new armor piercing go-to. Actually, no, just get fucking anti-material rifles. You can spend like a lot less on just a single shot like musket 50 cal.
And Suckboy Tony has come up with the plasma gun.
All right.
You can use smokeless matches or black powder for the propellant. You can 3D print everything else. You can cast your own bullets and anything.
That's some full-out shit right there.
Salute
to you, Suckboy Tony.
It's electronic ignition and solenoid bolt close.
This is so on brand. I love it.
Straight out of Fallout.
Oh, Jesus. Keep that thing on me. We need someone to make a holster for that in case you're confronted by a fucking police robot. Fuck. Anything else going on that we've missed? Have we set the world right?
No, it's fully on fire. It's napalmed, but enjoy the memes. Go outside, sun your butthole.
Yes.
Throw a carrot and
very important.
Yeah, learn how to barn a sock.
I'm at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am too. Like, honestly, right now, I'm about to make a pretty big move one way or another to, like, put myself in a better position in life, acquire more resources, and, you know, really, really nail down um, a more sustainable way of living.
Yeah, that's all I can
And,
do.
you know, yep, like, world is a fuck. You know, keep calm and carry on.
What was that when we were kids? It was like, life's a bitch and then you die, so fuck the world and let's get high. But it's like life's a bitch
Yes.
and then you die, so fuck the world and let's go outside.
So,
Let's go play.
yeah, there you go. So someone commented underneath one of my Childeberg advertising posts saying like, "Oh, you think you're gonna solve the world by going and doing drugs and camping with other anarchists?" I was like,
Yes,
well,
literally.
no.
My world.
like
Changing
yes.
my world.
What was it? Well, fuck. What's the meme? Well, yes, maybe, no, whatever it is.
Yes,
The
but
pirate
no.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, but
yeah. It's
also
like
no.
it's like kind of like it's not going to be instant, but you know I'm going to know. I mean, Christ, just this one guy who was there, he posted something afterwards saying like I rubbed shoulders with, you know, cypherpunks and crypto nerds and militiamen and hippies and gardeners and agorists and all this, and it's like, you know, like we didn't solve the world, but met a bunch of knowledgeable people and made some connections, and yeah, feeling good. I always feel good coming back from that festival.
Yeah, that's how
And
it should be.
yeah, like just like, oh fuck, there's plenty of other people out there trying to do something, trying to better themselves. Just like, you know, all of us are, and you know, most of our listeners, I should hope, are trying to figure out a way to angle themselves to, you know, some stability.
Well, how isn't that making a difference to even just like, you know, because they say like even if you'd like change one person's life, you've made a difference in the world. So who's not to say going to these events where you just even reinforce to yourself like, okay, there are other people, even if we're scattered and we don't live close, like, you know, there are other people who understand what's going on and want to do something different for themselves, and that itself is like making a difference, because then in your own communities that will spread.
Yeah, and like it sounds really fucking corny, but I do consider it pretty revolutionary. People making the step to be like, no, I'm going to take this beyond just, you know, the memes I check on my phone and actually plug into a wider community and to start making contacts, because it's a hell of a decision to do so, and you know it can be a little bit sketchy your first time meeting internet people, but you know now's
time.
Every fucking time it's like
you gotta be on your guard.
Yeah, that's just smart.
If you're lowering your guard the second or third time, then don't step it up.
yeah, it's like I don't know.
But it's kind of like meeting regular people too.
Yeah, that's way more dangerous, arguably.
yeah, exactly.
Well, fuck. Guns. Any wise words for us before we set off? You were quiet, so I picked on you.
Yeah, I'm just not feeling too good.
Oh fuck, are you dying on the other end of the mic as we talk about the end of the world?
No, I'll survive, but I'll just feel a little out of it today.
Oh fuck. I'm sorry, bud. Anyone else have any wise words?
If she's not letting you hit, she's cheating.
Fuck, dude. That's heavy.
$4 more whores.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, on that note, thank you guys for listening. Go out and bear yourself, and
sun your butthole.
That's right.
Sun your butthole. All right. Until next time. Be good, guys.
Bye.
Later.